Hey YouTube, Jedi Fuka here, and in this video we are going to be going over Grave of Curse Stage 9. I'm going to show off the team I'm going to be using and what you might be able to do to try to get there. Before we get too far into this one though, I want to do a real quick touch on the Lunar Halo Radiance event that's going on for my server, and for those of you on Season 2 with it coming up. So a few things. The last video I did when I was talking about how hard I feel like this event is, I was overlooking that it's 4 weeks and I was calculating it as being 3 weeks, so I did make a mistake on that. Even with that, I still think it's going to be a little hard to reach the max stuff for the bosses here. Now, for my dungeon, I would like to know, or for my server, I don't know if this is the same for the other servers, but the devs have been very generous about mistakes that are going on in there. So if we go in here, today we received 10 lunar shards because there was, I guess, a mistake on Chief Jorn and on Erzilus, which are both bosses that I fought. I was barely short on 22 mil on Erzilus, got very close to that. And basically in here they just said there's some abnormal issues where they're doing some extra damage to your people. So and then for Israelis, it looks like his plan to lower the HP of summoned units. If Lady Hivitar is deployed, I don't know what's going on with that, but because there's a bug, they gave everyone all of these rewards right here, including the 10 extra shards. And then on the previous one, they did bump everyone up to a 22 mil on whatever their lowest one was. Or if you still hadn't done a run, it just took one of your runs away and gave you a 22 mil run because of another bug that was going on. So they've been very good about fixing bugs and refunding or giving out extra shards to people. That's going to help a lot in the long term. So I got to give a big shout out to the devs. I really appreciate that. I think that is the right move to do. So I just want to go back on that video and kind of recant a little bit of what I said. I apologize for my mistake on that. Hope I didn't steer anyone the wrong way. And just like I said in that video though, I do think everyone should go for the event and get as close as they can. And if you're just very shy of missing it, there is the option of going into the little shop there and getting the extra if you can do that. And I don't recommend that if you're someone who really shouldn't be doing that, but the option's there. So anyways, let's jump into this video. We are on stage 9 here, in the Grave of Curse. This is the team I'm working with. We're going to go through the mechanics of the boss, why I have who I have, and hopefully this can help a few of you out. Some of these units are definitely interchangeable. The biggest things is having certain skills going off at certain times, and then on top of that we want to make sure that we're getting our units going there correctly. I don't know what I was going with that, my bad. It's early morning. Alright, so we're going to start here with Sagamir. I'm using Sagamir for my decrease attack right here. One thing to pay attention to on this boss is that everything is on an 18-second run, I believe it is. We'll jump in here and look real quick and double check. Yeah, 18-second runs is 6 seconds between each of these. So whenever you're timing your moves, for whoever you're using for each move set, you need to be able to hit the 18 seconds. For Sagamir here, we're definitely not going to hit 18 seconds on his main move. We're only at 19, so the way I'm making up for that is using the Incense Burner. It's also going to give him the accuracy he needs to land it. Then I'm also giving him the Ancestral Protection gear that's going to help him absorb some of the damage from my attack dealers to help them stay alive. He's running Accuracy rune and HP rune, so nothing crazy stat-wise for him. He does have a ton of HP. His attacks are based off of HP attack, so if you could drop a little HP, add a little more attack, it'd probably be better, but I'm just working with the gear that I have right now. I have not gone and made new gear since I've been farming this. So the next champion that we are using in here is Garius. Oh, and by the way, so for Sagamir, he can be replaced by anyone who's doing decrease attack. That's his main thing in here. So if you have someone else for your decrease attack, drop them in there. The reason I'm using Sagamir is because he fits my affinity choice. So Garius here is the next one. And this guy is just, as you guys know, he's amazing. He's in all my teams right now, basically. Massive heals. Main thing with him is just a ton of defense. He's not doing any debuffs or anything. He's just keeping my team healed And then I have him in the ancestral gear as well to try to help with the absorbing some damage from one of my attackers. Nothing crazy on his gear, just defense, basically all the way around. Didn't really worry about substats, so that's that right there. Our next one here is going to be our Jillian. And for her on this one, we have a ton of skill haste. This is a similar setup to one of the other videos I did, but basically we're trying to get this as close to 18 seconds as possible. I managed to hit that 17.9, so that makes it so that we can time her main skill for that increased defense, for the increased defense here, so we can time that to where it lands at the same time every time, and that's going to help us out a lot. We need that increased defense right before the boss's final hit. Now, for our last two champions, we are running Voresh and Oster as our damage / Voresh's multi-use. Voresh here has our buff prohibition that he can drop up. So this we want to use to help him keep off some of the buffs from the boss, but he also has this 50% chance of dispelling one buff every time he does damage. So for Voresh, I did not focus on getting his skill haste down and timing him every time. It's probably a good idea if you do that. It might help you run some, but for me, I wanted to still get quite a bit of damage out of him. So we got a little attack, little crit. Crit damage is lacking, but that is what it is because we are using him in Witch's Remains to drop defense. So he's helping us more with the Witch's Remains than with getting more crit damage. I at first had him and Oster in at least one defense percentage piece on our bottom row. The problem was I wasn't getting enough damage, so I had to move them into all attack gear, and then to keep them alive I had to move my other champion Sagamir and Garius into that ancestral protection. Now for Austin here, we are just pushing straight damage as much as we can get. This gear is from when I first farmed my attack gear. I do need to go and probably rework it a little bit. We could probably get some more damage out of them, but we're not going to do that right now. I've gone and done a little farming since then. Not very lucky on my runes so far. It's all accuracy resistance, which could be good, but I would like some attack for my champions. So here's his stats. The 4200 attack, 83 crit, 187 crit damage. Alright, so the main thing with these champions is going into our lineup here. We're going to go into our skill timings. So for Jillian here, we are on the 1218. What this is going to do is it's going to make sure her shield goes up before the final hit comes on. And every round she's going to have a shield up. And that's going to keep our team alive. And it's going to keep the boss's shield low so we don't have too much to get through. I started Voresh on a 2018, so at least when the second round comes, he's going to be making sure that those buffs on the boss are not there. And then this lasts for a little bit. It will fall out of sync some because he's not on an actual 18. He's on a 22nd. So even if for him, if you don't set that, if you're like me on this, it's fine. If you can get his skill haste, then you can set that. But like I said, I focus on damage instead of skill haste. For Garius here, we have him on 18.5, then default. This just gets him healing after the boss's main attack. And then for Sagamir, for whoever you're doing your decreased attack on, I did a 12.5 and 18. I think his would still last if we did it on a 12 because it lasts for 10 seconds. So either way there, but that's going to keep it to where that decreased attack is on the boss every time. So alright, on the next part, we're going to jump into some food. I personally like to use the attack food or defense food. I used up all my defense food. The defense food is probably best for this boss because you're going to keep the shield down some. But for now, I'm not going to go make any. We're just going to jump in with some attack food, give us a little extra damage. And now we're going to do the run, let you guys see what it looks like, and go from there. So you'll see for our skill timing, right when this goes, Jillian's going to give a shield. Boom, Sagamir's drop that attack. And then we just got to tank the first move. That's the hardest part. Sometimes I get unlucky and I don't land the decreased attack because there's like a very tiny percentage chance where you don't land it. And that's where it can get a little messy for me. But usually on the second round I'm able to recover from it depending. If I have the increased defense food, I 100% this every time. With the increased attack food, it's just in that first round when I have the boss's buff still up that I have a chance of one of my attackers dying. And with this team, I'm not doing a whole lot of damage, so the run does drag out a little bit. If you're able to get someone in instead of Garius that has some attack in there and still keep your team alive, then that would be great. In order to do that, you would need either a different healer than Jillian or to be able to pump her enlightenment enough up to get those heals going a lot more. Sagamir does help with heals, but he only does one continuous heal to one champion. Another thing good with Sagamir is that he does give a little bit of an ultimate boost if you have him. So for someone like Voresh, he can sometimes help them stay in tune with their skill for a while. Not always, because as you see, it depends on who he's targeting, which right now he's targeting Jillian, so his increased turn meter doesn't matter because she's going to go at the same time every time. It's best when you use it for one of your attackers though. Which, as you'll see right there, really for Garius, his heal isn't too necessary because we're managing to get healed up before that move is coming up anyways. So I might even be able to replace him now. Now that I have better gear on my champions, there's a chance because his heal seems like it's being a little wasted sometimes. Alright guys, so as you see, that was the run there. Another thing you can do is if you're trying to get into those skill timings, oh, it's terrible. If you're trying to get those skill timings and you're having issues with that, you could always replace someone and try to do someone who has like a decreased turn meter type thing. So like I have Ripicus, he's really good for that. Some other champions you might consider, depending on who you have. I know these are legendaries. I'm not sure a whole lot in the rares who do it. Let me see if they actually have it listed on here. Could add the special stealing ultimate down. There we go. So some other champions that will help you out. In season 1, I used Clovis for this. I almost forgot about him. He's actually really good. So he can take down some of the ultimate energy that can help you. If you have like 20-second bars and you don't have skill haste, someone like him will keep dropping that. For your legendaries, Ripicus, I used him last season for it. He was really good. And for this season, I started out using Jorn for it. I actually went all the way through stage 8 using him, but I did replace him eventually with Sagamir because I wanted the full affinity going. And the good thing with Jorn is he will both remove all of the boss's buffs and do the decreased turn meter. The only hard thing with the decreased turn meter that you're going to get is that it's harder to do auto because it's hard to get your skills timed out when you're doing it that way. So it's one thing to keep in mind. But it does look like there's some other epics in here that can do it. We got this gentleman here, but it's only a 50% chance. 60, 75% chance. So if you use like an artifact to boost it, maybe. Let's see this dude here. So he has a recharge speed penalty on his A2. That's actually really good. That could probably help out a lot. And the rares, I have used Adri before, not in this dungeon, but in general I've used her for her recharge speed penalty last season. She's really good, so it's another one to consider. An accuracy penalty. But anyways, you guys get the point on that. If you're not having an easy time with the skill haste part, then go in with something like the recharge speed penalty or the decreased ultimate. That's going to help you out a lot. So that's it for this video. Hope this helps some of you out, and y'all have a good one.